Right. So, what we discussed in the previous session about the Jira part, of course, Jira Q&A was discussed. And today I'm going to discuss about SQL. Okay. So, before I'm getting into the detailed explanation over SQL, first of all, I must tell you in what way being a business analyst it is related. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you want to know about a structured query language, first of all, being a business analyst, in what way we are relating to the SQL. Okay, that is the first thing first you need to know.
Okay.
And apart from that, before that, you must be knowing about the different type of languages, because SQL is a query language. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me write down here. Usually when we are in working in application development, there are some languages which we call it as markup language. Okay. We call it as markup language.
Okay.
So markup language is nothing but whatever the HTML, right? So DHTML, all these are things comes under markup languages. Understood? Clear? Nikhil, right? Markup languages. So markup languages are the one which is used to create some user interfaces and all. For example, if you want to create any login pages or something of that sort, generally these are the ones which normally we use it. Okay, this is point
Mm-hmm.
number one. Second, we call it as modeling language. Modeling language means, I think we have already gone through the practical orientation over UML. You know that, right? Unified modeling language, because use case diagrams, at the same time sequence diagrams and all everything were created by us. Am I right on? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So this is all something modeling language. Modeling language means you are modeling the requirements. What are the requirements you have? If you want to visualize the requirements and all, UML is what something which normally we use. This is point number two. The third one is called programming language. Third one is called programming language. So what is programming language? Programming language means either it can be Java, right? So either it can be Python, it can be Kotlin, right? So etc. Different programming languages which will be used to write the code for any of the project. Means if
Mm-hmm.
you want to implement any business functionality for a particular code, you have to write some programming. Means you as a development team, okay, not by a BA, okay, programming language.
Okay.
Last one is called query language. Okay, second thing is called query language. Query language is the one which will be used to extract the queries from the database. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Extract the queries from the database. Now, first of all, you should understand what database stands for, because before I'm getting into the SQL part, let me explain you what exactly database stands for. Because if you have taken any application will be of three different layers. In any application, we have three different layers.
Okay.
Yeah, so application will be having three different layers. There is a layer 1, there will be a layer 2, there will be a layer 3. Okay, three different layers we'll be having.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is called application layer, a presentation layer.
Okay.
The first one is called, before if you want to know about the database and data layer, first you need to know about what are the different layers is there in the application.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is called presentation layer, means whatever that you can see it on the screen using HTML, DHTML, all that, whatever the user interfaces or the pages we are going to create, everything comes under the presentation layer. Okay, this is point number one. Second is called business or logic layer. Business or logic layer. Business or logic layer means when you want to write any program. For example, if you want to write any kind of code for any of the project, let's say for example 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2, when you press an enter button, what is that you get? You get a result called 3. Am I right?
Yes.
How you
Yes.
got this? because this is where generally a programmer or developer write a code for two different numbers. Addition of
Okay.
two numbers is what something we call it as business or logic layer. Means for any functionality, if we want some output for a particular functionality, there must be some logic which we have to write.
Alrighty.
This is where generally business or logic layer come into picture.
Okay.
Now, the third one is called data layer. Third one is called data
Data.
layer. So data layer means whatever the data you want to extract. Let's say, for example, you have created some login page. Okay. Now you have mentioned the customer details, right? At the same time, you have mentioned his contact details, email ID, right? So at the same time, etc., was maintained here. You have created a login page. Now, what we do, being a user, you will be giving some input for this. Yes, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Nikita,
Yes.
right? So let's say there is a login page. So in this login page, there are different columns. For example, right? Let's say different columns we have. So you have a customer name. This is a form, I can say. This is a form where you have some customer name, customer email address, customer mobile number, or else it can be customer, let's say it's a banking application, customer type of account number or something. Okay, for example, these are the details.
Okay.
Where are you giving this? This is you are giving based on the form which was created on the presentation layer. Am I right? Someone,
Yes.
whoever is using, user give this information. If user is giving this information, where it has to store, it has to store it in the data layer. Yes? I don't know. Because there must be some database where the information has to be stored in this. So if you want to store this information, why storing of information you require? Because if anytime, if you want to extract any information from this data layer, you want some data layer to be created in this.
Correct.
Nikita, right? So what we have to do, first of all, we need to identify what kind of database we want to use. There are a lot of
Okay.
databases, one is Oracle, SQL, MongoDB, right? So there are different databases we use in the industry. So understanding and identifying what kind of database we want to use is one thing. Second, what database team has to do? Database team has to create some data tables. Some data tables they have to create. So why is this data tables? Because let's say, for example, this is a customer form where we have given some information here. Whatever the information was given, let's say customer name was given here. Okay, customer name. So whatever the name was mentioned using this form, which is called form, okay, FORM, form, that information must store in a particular data table. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Clear, right? Let's say, for example, this is where generally there is a data table. Okay, this is a data table. So this data table consists of customer name. Okay, customer name. Next, this data table consists of email ID. Okay. Next phone number. Phone number. Next, for example, account number. For example, okay. For example, means I'm talking about bank account. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right. So, if anybody who has given, let's say, for example, user has given some has updated some records relating to the people who has taken some accounts, who is having loans, either it can be saving loans or savings banks accounts or something. For example, customer has given some, names, right? So they have mentioned some names in the form. What will happen? That details has to come and store in the name column. Yes, sir. Right?
Yes.
That is required. Next, for example, some mail ID was given in the form. that has to store in the email ID column. If someone has given any phone number, contact details and all, it has to store in the phone number column. If someone
Right.
has given the account number details and all, it has to come and store in the account column.
Account number.
Right or not? Why is this needed? Because in future, let's say for example, you guys are the business people, wherein you guys has decided that I want to extract some reports. For example, you want to extract some reports, right? For example, being a team, being a business team, you want to extract some reports for business purpose. Okay. I'll give you an
Okay.
example to you. Let's say, for example, you want to take the report. People who are maintaining average $500 in every quarter. Okay. You want to have a list of it because being a business team, you have an idea where you want to get the report. You want to have a report. What kind of report it was that? You want to see how many people are maintaining average $500 in every quarter, in the present
Right.
quarter or in the previous quarter, whatever it is. Right? There is a specific condition. In the previous quarter, who is maintaining $500 you want? Point number one. Point number two, again, you want to make it more filtering. What was that? $500 maintaining savings account. That is the second thing.
Mm-hmm.
Next, it's not only a savings account, people who are in the age group of 25 to 45. That is the third option. Or
Okay.
else it can be these people, whoever is residing in and around a particular state. Understand? Clear, Nikita, right?
Yeah.
So this is what generally filtering process. For what purpose being a business team you want this? Because for some business decision, to have some business decision and all everything, this is what something which you wanted. Am I right or not? Right? So this is where extraction of queries is what something we have to do. This is where extraction of data. For that, writing queries are important.
Okay.
Are important. Okay, for that reason, whatever the kind of language we use is called SQL.
All right.
SQL stands for Structured Query
Structured query
Language.
language.
Structured query language, which will be used to extract the queries from the database. Okay, for example, you want to edit the data. Let's say whatever the data you have given, you want to edit the data, or you want to
Okay.
delete some columns, or you want to delete some rows, or you want to insert some information, or you want to update some information. Okay, so how can we do this? For that, there are different queries we have to write. Understood, Nikita? Clear? Yes, sir. Right? Nikita,
Yeah.
right or not? So, structured query language is the one which is majorly used to extract queries from the database. Why? Because if for every application you see, there is a
Mm-hmm.
database you create, data, whatever the database we have created, whatever the data table we have created, whatever the data you have given, everything will be stored in the database. From this database, what you want to do if you are a business user, you want to extract some information. You want to generate some reports. For what
Okay.
purpose? For your business purpose. Okay. So for that, there must be some language which we have to use. For that reason, the kind of language which normally we use called query language. For that query
Okay.
language, one of the prominent query language we use in the industry, which is called SQL,
SQL.
right? So SQL is a query language which is majorly used to extract the queries from any of the database. Clear? Now,
Yes.
second point. Now here is a question you can ask me, because as you are a business analyst, technical BA role, wherein you may have a question here. Raj, in what way being a business analyst I am related here? Because as you said, like business analyst is a person, an individual or a group of people who is trying to gather the requirements from the customer and providing some necessary solutions, right? As far as my understanding is concerned is this. Then
That's right.
why am I required to learn SQL? For what purposes? See,
Yeah.
nowadays, in the beginning, even I said, repeating the same point. Earlier, the role of a business analyst is confined only to the functional role earlier, because you are responsible only to extract the query, to gather the requirements, right? Writing some epics, user stories, creating some BRDs. This is all something being a BA earlier. But
Okay.
nowadays, the situation has drawn to an extent possible where you need to have some technical knowledge. You need to have some technical knowledge.
Correct.
One of the prominent few of the technical knowledges what being a BA we require in the present industry are few. There are many, Nikita, but I am mentioning few. First of all, should have a knowledge over Agile, Jira, etc.
Right.
Jira tool, because how to use the tool, right? How to write epics and user stories, product backlog. This sort of understanding is also comes under the one kind of technology that is
Yeah.
required. That was learned. Leave it. Second, you need to have a knowledge over SQL part. Why? Because being a business analyst, whenever you are giving some requirements, based on the requirements, these tables and all everything will be created by the database team. Am I right?
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Some data table, because data tables never created by BA. There will be a database design team as separate. Whoever, once the decision was taken, what kind of database to be used, either it can be Oracle, SQL, MongoDB, etc. Data table creations, at the same time, creation of data tables, data dictionaries, data models, everything will be done by the database team. So when they have created database team, there are few things. Some organizations, even database team or technical people, should have a knowledge to extract the queries so that they want to know SQL. This is one category. But when there are opportunities nowadays, when you are working as a business analyst towards the technical side, in most of the job profiles we see nowadays, the person who is coming from a business analyst should have a knowledge over SQL, because they must be knowing about what are the different queries we have, right? What are the different statements. So this sort of knowledge is required, because you are the BA who must be taken care of two things. If you are a BA, you have to take care of two things. The first one is called ER diagrams. I didn't said this earlier. Okay, ER diagrams was not discussed so far. So as part of SQL, I'll explain that to you. Of course, there is no interconnect. ER diagrams part of database. Okay.
All right.
ER diagrams is what something you need to know. And second is SQL from the context of database. Okay. If as a business analyst, from the database knowledge side, from the database knowledge side, one should know the following. One should know the following items. Okay. Following items. The first one are called ER diagrams. What is ER diagram here? ER diagram stands for entity relationship diagram. Entity relationship diagrams.
Okay.
Entity relationship diagrams means, for example, one to many. Let's say, for example, you are creating some bank application or something, wherein whatever the customer ID number used or created by the bank, auto creation. Let's say, for example, customer ID number is a auto generated one, for example. Okay, auto generated. The same customer number, ID number, or an account number can be used in multiple aspects when you are managing your business activity. Am I right? Yes or no? So if you want to know about the status of the account, you require a customer ID number. At the
Okay.
same time, if you want to know about what balances a person is having, you require an account number. Or else if you want to take some statement, you want an account number. Yes or no, Nikita? Right? Nikita.
Yes, yes, coach.
Yes or no? Right? So
Yeah.
whenever you want to extract some information, there are one to many, one to one to many to many relationships. One to many, okay, many to many relationships you want to establish. So how can
Mhm.
you establish this? This you have to establish by creating some entity relationship diagrams. What are the
Okay.
different entities we have? In what way these entities are related, interrelated? To explain that, TR diagrams are used. This is one thing which, being a business analyst, you must be good and familiar with. Point number one. Point number two, second is about SQL. As I told you, SQL is the one used by the business analyst to understand and write the queries. For what purpose? Sometime back I told you, right? If you want some business decision to be taken, because you as a BA, you are also a business decision maker. Am I right on that? Right? You are a BA. Sometimes in some organizations, you will be in a role of a business decision. You want to take some business decisions, so that you want to extract some data from the database, which is part of technology. For that reason, knowing about SQL is something which is essentially required nowadays.
Right.
Right? This is point number two. Point number three, it's not relating to database, whatever I'm saying, but one more thing is called Power BI or Tableau or something. Okay. So Power
Okay.
BI and Tableau are called as data visualization tools. Okay.
Okay.
Data visual. For example, there are different, let's say customer data was there, millions of customer data was there. Now you want to visualize, you as a team, okay, not by a BA, you want to visualize this data and you want to generate some reports for different purposes. Yes, sir. Right? You
Yeah.
want to generate some reports. So for what purpose? Again, this is also for the benefit of understanding before you're taking some business decisions.
Mm-hmm.
This is where generally data visualization come into picture. This is where generally data visualization come into picture. So it's a kind of data visualization tool. What are all Power BI, Tableau? These are the prominent data visualization tools which are used to visualize the data. How do you visualize the data? If you want to visualize the data, you have to create some reports, some dashboards you have to create. For that
Okay.
purpose also, being a BA, you must be good with.
Mm-hmm.
Understood clear, Nikita? Right?
Yeah. Yes.
So as far as our course is concerned, I am taking Power BI, not Tableau, because any one is important. Power BI is one of the prominent data visualization tool across industries we are using nowadays, which you will be learning soon. Okay, that's what.
Okay.
So this is where and how usually being a business analyst, you must be good when you are working on the technical BA role. This is where generally you must be knowing about SQL.
Okay.
Okay, now, so what exactly SQL stands for? This is the first question which I am going to explain to you now. As I
Okay.
mentioned, repeating again, SQL is nothing but it's a structured query language, which is a query language where if you want to communicate in the databases, for what purpose? If you want to extract any information from the database, you have to provide some instructions to the database and as well as to the system. How can you give in the language which a system can understand? Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right? A system or a database can understand. What kind of language a database will understand? Database will understand a language called query language. Understood?
Okay.
Clear, right?
Yes, yes.
So database understand the instructions which was given by the user, by you. For that, the kind of language which normally we use called query language, because we are all, for example, you and me are communicating in a language called English. One to one or one to many or many to many, right? We are using in English. In the same manner, if you want to provide some instructions to the system, right? So programming language, query languages and all everything, these are the different types of languages which will be used to provide some instructions to the system. Subsequently, a system will give you the result. Understood? Clear, Nikita, right?
Yes, coach.
So when we are working on the database, it's always useful for us to store the data, because using the SQL and all, what we can do, you can store the data, because what store the data means, for example, you have some customer records, right? Somewhere around you have more than a lakh or so, for example, roughly speaking, right? You want to store the data first. Next, you want to retrieve the data. Retrieving means you have to extract it. Okay.
Right.
Next, you have to manage the data, managing data for different reasons. At the same time, you want to manipulate data. Manipulate data means, as I told you, right? Either it can be edit, or you want to update, you want to delete, or you want to insert some information. Because there is no guarantee whatever the data we have taken remains stands still. There are possibilities where we have to make some changes in the existing ones. Yes, sir.
Okay.
For example, customer has changed his account phone number. What we have to do now? Subsequent changes has to be made in the system. Yes, clear, right?
Right.
For example, customer has changed his emailing address. You have to make some necessary changes. For
Right.
example, customer has cancelled account, whatever the SB account he is having, savings account or something, which he has cancelled it. He don't want to use it. He has given a request for cancellation. Where what we have to do now? We have to terminate his account. Yes. Or for
Yeah.
some reason, that account was under lien. So that has to put it on hold. So for that, you required some queries. So different purposes. Database, whatever the data we are managing, this data requires a continuous understanding, continuous manipulation of data is what something which we have to do. For that, there are different queries which normally we write. For that, we require a programming query language which is called SQL. Clear to you, Nikita, right?
Yes.
Next. So how we use SQL? Okay, anyway, I have told you that. Now, what are the different databases do we have on that, right? So this is what something which you have to know first. Normally, there are different databases we have. So the first one is called relational database. What is
Okay.
meant by relational database? Relational database means whatever the relations you are going to maintain. Okay. For example, if you want to create a relationship about about some data, for example, the same customer number you want to use. Okay. Right. Yes or no? Right.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, you want to use some relationships among the databases and all everything. This is where generally relational database stands for. So that's the reason why database will be classified into two different parts. One is about DBMS. Second is called RDBMS.
RDBMS. Okay.
Okay. RDBMS. DBMS stands for Database Management System.
Right.
DBMS stands for Database Management
Management
System.
system.
So database management system is the one which majorly used to manage the database. What are the structure are we going to create and all everything. So this database management system is what something which normally we use it. Now, what is RDBMS stands for? RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. That's what generally I have told you here. right? If you want to create any kind of relationals for any of the database, that's where generally RDBMS is what something which normally we use. Next, of
Okay.
course, there are different databases like NoSQL, cloud related, because whatever the cloud databases we are using, everything is cloud. If you have taken, for example, MongoDB, okay, MongoDB is one of the prominent database we are using, which is having a cloud version. Okay, so time series is right. So these are all different databases which normally we use when we are working on the project. But one of the most prominent usage of database is to create some relationships. That's the reason why understanding about database management, at the same time understanding about relational database management system is what something which we have to be known with. Clear to you? Understood?
Yes, good.
Understood, clear?
Yeah.
Nikita, right? This is what it was. Right, so now this is what generally about the databases and all of it. Now, when it comes to the SQL, for what purpose it is being used? Sometime back I told you, right? So SQL is the one which majorly allows you to query the database, means what are the
Database.
databases you want to create. So you can do this. Next, at the same time, whenever you are creating any queries and all that, if you want to retrieve any data from the database, you can do it. At the same time, it's also provides some CRUD functionality, which is that you want to create some data, or if you want to read the data, update, delete, insert, all these things, this database is what something which we wants to be known with.
Okay.
Okay, these are the basics about SQL. Now, today I'm going to discuss about one of the important topic. Being a BA, first of all, you have to know. um, hmm, 1 minute, let me open Paint. Yeah, one of the prominent important concept which being a business analyst you must be knowing called SQL commands. Because as I
SQL.
told you, retrieving, adding the data is important. Once you have added the data, what you have to do? You have to provide some instructions to the system to extract the data. Okay. If you want to provide some instructions, you have to provide instructions using some commands. Understood?
Yeah.
Right? Using some
Yes.
commands, you have to do this. This is where generally we call it as SQL command stands for.
Okay.
We call it as SQL commands, right? So SQL commands is what something you have to know, because all the commands are not being a behavior related, but to an extent possible, yes, we must be knowing about different commands for SQL for sure. Now, generally these commands, yeah. So these commands we can classify into 5 different parts. 5 different parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The first one, which is called DDL, one of the command, which is called DDL, which is
TDL.
called DDL. The first command is called DDL. The
Okay.
second command is called, what is DDL? I'll tell you. Okay. Second
Yeah.
command is called DML. The
DML.
third command is called DCL. The fourth command is called TCL. And fifth one is called DQL. DQL. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, what is DDL stands for? You can write down notes for this, because this is always important for you to write down the notes for these points,
Yeah.
especially because when you
Just
attend for an interview, they may be asking you which command is used for what purpose. So if you can write it as a notes, it is more helpful to you. Okay. On this regard, I am explaining this to you. The first one is called DDL. Write down. DDL stands for Data Definition Language.
data
DDL stands for DDL stands for Data Definition Language.
definition language. Okay.
Right. This is being used. This is being used to change to change the structure of the table, which was created. For example, there is some table we have created. So if you want to make some changes on the structure of the table, DDL commands are being used, data definition language. So what are the commands? Write down the commands as follows. The first one is called create.
Create command.
Right. So this is the one which is used to create a table in new table. For example, if you want to create any new table, create is a command which is being used by you. Understood? Clear? Right?
Yeah.
Second, which is called alter.
Order.
Right? Second one called alter. This is the one which is used to alter the structure of the database. Which means I.E. It means, right? It means, or which means modification of, which means modification of characteristics. Modification of characteristics of any existing attribute, or probably to add any new attributes. Okay. Right? Understand? Clear?
Yes.
Next, third command is called drop. This is the command which is used to, which is used to delete both the structure, as well as records, stored in a particular table.
Okay.
Next, truncate. Truncate. Truncate.
Truncate.
Truncate.
CAT. Okay.
Again, I'm repeating TRUNCATE.
Yes.
Okay, truncate. This is the one which is used to, delete the rows from the table. Delete the rows from the table. Right? Clear?
Yes.
So one of the commands is called DDL, which stands for data definition language. Means if you want to alter anything or if you want to edit, right? So if you want to add anything, right? So for the data definition language commands are being used. Second one, which is called DML, right? Stands for data manipulation language.
Data manipulation
Language.
Which?
This is the one which is used to modify the database. Modify or changes, or whatever it is. Modify or changes that are required in the database. For that, generally, DML manipulation. Manipulation means you are manipulating. Means either you are inserting the data, right? You are updating it, you're deleting, right? This is all comes in the manipulation part. Okay.
Okay.
So the commands we use called insert. Insert is a command, update and delete.
Insert. Are you gonna explain about insert first?
Yeah, yes.
Or should I write down?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I'll tell you. Insert, update and delete, 3 commands. The first one called insert. This is the one.
Mhm.
This is the one which is used to insert the data into the row of a table.
Into the row of a table.
Okay. For that, generally insert command is being used for.
Okay.
Next, we call it as update. This is a command which is used to update or modify the value of a column in the table. The value of a column in the table. Next command, which is called delete. This is the one which is used to
Mm-hmm.
remove
This is used to remove
one or more rows from a table. One or more rows from a table. Okay.
Yeah.
Next, third one called DCL, which stands for DCL. Third one is called DCL, which stands for Data Control Language. Control means taking the control. Okay, taken over by the control is called DCL. Right? If you want to take any control over the database, that's where generally we call it as data control, because normally database administrators require these commands. Okay, database admin team. This is the one which is used to grant or
Uh-huh.
take back the authority
Take back the authority.
from any user. This is called DCL, stands for Data Control Language. Means grant, revoke, all that. For example, you want to give some permission for one more person as an authorized admin on behalf of
Okay.
you. Because of some reason you are going on leave, right? You want to give permission for someone to manage on your behalf for some days. So that, or for some any other reason, you want to give some granting some access, all that. Sometimes you want to revoke. For example, someone has left the organization. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
that being into on industry policy, you want to revoke some permissions and all everything which was given by the person, because that person is no more an employee of your organization. So that you want to restrict the access. Okay. As per the company policy. This is all something comes under DCL, which stands for Data Control Language.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
Understood? Clear? Next, which is called
Yes.
TCL. Right. TCL. TCL stands for Transaction Control Language. These are the ones which are used in connect to DML. These are this TCL one, right? So whatever the TCL commands we have, these TCL commands are the one which is connecting to DML.
Okay.
Why? Because data manipulation, because data transaction control or data manipulation. Like for example, if you want to edit the data, right? So if you want to update the data, delete, right? Manipulation is also something used it, insert, deletion, or updation. So TCL is something used for the purpose. Okay, right?
So are both same or are they different
No,
functions?
this is in connect to. There are additional commands which normally we use in TCS. TCS.
Okay.
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 The commands as follows, right? One is commit.
Commit.
Commit. COMMIT.
Commit. Okay. So these are the comments for TCL, right? Commit.
TCL. Yes. These are the commands which are used for TCL. The first one commit. Second one called rollback.
Commit.
Third one called save point.
Rollback. Is it save point?
Save point. SAVEPOINT. Save point.
Okay.
What is commit stands for? Commit is a command which is used to save all the transactions to the database. Means what are the transactions we have made? Okay. So we want to save all that, right? Commit is a command which is used to save all the transactions to the database. Second, rollback. Second, rollback. This is a command which is used to undo the transactions, which haven't been stored in the database.
Okay.
The next point, save point. This is the one which is used to roll the transaction back to the certain point, without rolling back the entire transaction. Without rolling back to the entire transaction. Understood? Clear?
Yeah.
Clear to you, right?
This is 1 second. Roll the transaction back to the certain point without
Means, for
rolling back.
example, you want to see some transaction. Okay, you want to see the transaction. So again, you don't require to see the whole transaction and identify. Okay, exact to the transaction point you can go. That's where we call it a save point.
Okay, got you.
Clear, right? For example, you are working on the application development, you are managing the database. Now, in this regard, you want to see the customer details. Okay, you want to see the customer details or something XYZ. So for that, you don't require to see the entire transaction, right? You don't need it. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So for that, the kind of command which is used, we call it as save point under TCL. Clear to you? Understood?
Yes. Yes.
Last one is called DQL that I'll explain in next week, right? What is called data query language. This is important for a PA. So SQL commands, right? This we are going to discuss in coming session. Clear to you?